Now, before we begin, I must stress what Goku's name in this series will be. It'll fit the third Demon World pattern of naming characters after flowers, so we've decided to go with Mimu for Goku, which comes from Mimulus, commonly known as the monkey flower. So you see what we did there? Keeping it true? So let's move on to part 2. The desert lizard of the third Demon World was basking in the sun. It was in luck that there had been a tiny little bit of rain yesterday, which made the plants in this little oasis open up and bait some tasty bugs with their smell. Life was good, or so it would seem. Its kind weren't really complicated creatures. They liked to sunbathe, they liked to eat, and, well, they liked making more lizards, let's just say that. Though for this third thing, this particular specimen would need a mate. It looked around with its pale eye, and suddenly it saw a shape, vaguely resembling another of its kind. Was it that much luck? Could it be? This, of course, could have been a rival, or maybe a friend, or someone to start a nest with, hopefully. With cautious curiosity, the creature moved toward the shape, only to discover that it wasn't moving. In fact, it was just a rock, or a piece of it, that shouldn't have those shapes or colours before it could then realise what was happening. A shout of joy could have been heard, and something much, much larger than the desert lizard descended upon it and caught it.
Ha ha! Got you! My second dinner!
Mimu, the monkey boy, the younger child of King Kadan, was really happy about the fact that his hunt had been successful. He felt that he was getting better with carving those figurines, as even the lizard had been fooled. Now he only had to cook it. As he started to return to Kadan Castle, he heard the disapproving voice of his older sister, who apparently was sent out to look for him.
Oh, really? Again? We have a cook at the castle, and a lot of food in the pantry!
She gazed at him with absolute disapproval. Although they seemed to be of similar age, she was 39 years older than him, and tended to boss him around because of it.
Well, sorry, sis. I didn't mean to be much bother, but I just enjoy hunting. Nothing beats the taste of something that you hunted for yourself, you know.
He grinned with pride, showing one of the missing teeth that had been knocked out during one such escapade. On one hand, his sister, named Panji, was happy that he had been able to adjust to the third Demon World with no trouble at all. The initial days and months were hard, especially when they realised that he sometimes had slight problems with moving around due to the absurd gravity and the way the air worked. But surprisingly, he was able to get over that relatively quickly. Obviously, herself and her dad were worried that he didn't display any kind of magical abilities or that he just looked so alien. So for his safety, he was always wearing artificial tips for his ears, so they more resembled proper margin, spiky ears and all that. Still, there were other odd things about him that drew suspicion. Initially, he was very weak and got himself into a lot of trouble, due to him being so curious, too curious for his own good. But after such a few escapades, his resilience was able to skyrocket in the time that it would have been a blink of an eye for most margin, so just a couple of years. He also enjoyed fighting to a level that was weird, uncharacteristic, even for the likes of Amazoness. The chief of King Kadan's guard claimed that nowadays he appeared to be bored during their training sessions. They were no challenge at all. Initially, she was against him participating in these kind of events, considering how frail he initially seemed, but he quickly learned. A terrifyingly quick learner, may I add. Of course, there were voices within the castle that he was truly a mortal, but that seemed rather weird. What kind of mortal would act like Mimu would act? Just seemed weird. Well, Pansy did not have answers for any of that, but the monkey boy was family now, and she cared for her family.
You know that you're not supposed to wander off so far away from the castle on your own.
She sighed, as they had already had this conversation many times before, but he would never listen.
Oh, I know, but you and the others are always allowed to make all those raids on gendarmerie supplies, and I'm never allowed to. I'm just so bored, Tansy. Besides, I'm really careful, promise, and I'll even share my lizard with you, if you don't tell Dad about it.
He grinned, trying to ease the tone.
You know I don't have that kind of appetite you do.
She sighed.
Fine, but you really need to be careful. If someone catches you, they can use that against us.
Her facial expression softened, and she looked him in the eyes, just so that he would know that she was really serious.
I know, I just want to do something. Be useful.
He made a pained expression.
I spoke to Perel the other day. You can help them with sorting some of the contraband. We might need that. Prince or not, you do have some duties over here, mister.
She pointed at him, really trying to make it clear that this was sort of a compromise.
I'll get to it right when I cook the lizard, promise. You sure you don't want to bite? Yes, I'm sure. Now get back to the castle, now.
Mimu then quickly went into the kitchen. He enjoyed observing the cooks, so he caught some secrets that they were sharing. Besides, roasting and mildly seasoning the desert lizard wasn't exactly the hardest thing to do. If he was able to maybe gather more interesting spices and farm more vegetables on his own, he probably would have been able to make something a little bit more complicated, more nuanced. Yes, a pantry existed, and his father traded with different parts of the third demon world, so their pantry was fairly respectable. But on rare occasions, they did manage to get things from the second demon world, but Mimu enjoyed making stuff on his own. He didn't really want the help of the cooks. Following the process altogether was really satisfying. It was sort of like fighting, his other favorite thing in the world. He came up with a lot of uses of his tail in combat, but his father's guards tended to accuse him of cheating whenever he would do so. Was it truly cheating, though, if it was just a clever thing to do? He pondered, looking at his roast. As the lizard became nice and crunchy, he decided to leave a piece for Paral, since his sister wasn't overly interested. As he arrived, Paral's office was, as always, filled with lots of gadgets and gizmos, most of them being totally alien for the likes of Mimu. Right when the monkey boy entered, the wide bug-like face of Parel smiled at him.
Oh wow, Prince M! I hope you didn't have too many problems from your sister today. Ah, so you heard.
Mimu blushed slightly, placing the plate in front of the soldier.
Here, it's for you.
Oh, I love a good skewered lizard. Thanks, Your Highness. Also, don't take this against your sister. She's just really worried about you.
Parel was always very calming and happily bit into the food that had been delivered to them.
It's a very oversimple thing, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a little bit, you know.
Well, that's great, because we've got a lot of contraband plane identification numbers that we have to sort through. Does that sound like a lot of fun?
Parel smiled widely, clearly excited by the prospect.
Yeah, exciting.
The monkey boy lied to not upset his friend. He was smart enough to realize that what they were about to do would be very useful to the organization, and a certain blow toward the gendarmerie, and that was fine by him. His father had taught him that while some margin could see themselves as bad guys, it was the Vice Supreme Demon King who was the true evil around here, who caused all of their lives to be miserable. They were just easy scapegoats, but by sabotaging his schemes, they could maybe make the lives of everyone around them that little bit easier, make their own lives slightly more comfortable. Is that such a bad thing? That felt like a good thing to do, to be fair. Probably. Mimu was never really questioning that much. Still, to be completely honest, it wasn't the most interesting job to perform. Writing numbers down and organizing them in a certain order, it was a very, very monotonous task, even though Paral's enthusiasm was a little bit infectious. It took them hours, which almost made Mimu fall asleep. However, the member of King Kadan's crew was quite grateful for all of their help.
Well, thanks, Prince. It would have taken me twice as long without your aid. I think you could use a bit of a break, so I'll take it from here. Thanks again.
Yeah, it's nothing really. Dad wants me to get involved with the organization to do different stuff.
Mimu was trying his best to conceal a massive yawn that had been trying to free itself from his mouth. Paral either didn't see or pretended that they didn't. Instead, they just chuckled.
All right, thanks again. Get a nap or something, or maybe a third dinner.
Yeah, I will.
The monkey boy nodded and walked out, just in time to see his father triumphantly returning with his force, much to everyone rejoicing.
Ha! Those gendarmerie bootlickers, they won't know what hit them.
said Kadan triumphantly.
Huh? What's all the ruckus about?
Mimu asked curiously.
Oh, son! We just had a very successful run on one of the supply carts that was meant for the gendarmerie. The best part of all of it? They hadn't even seen us, which means not only did they lose some of their precious gear, but they also have no idea what hit them. Shame you couldn't have been there to witness it. It would have been an absolutely gallant time.
Kadan slapped his massive belly, causing the noise to reverberate, and started to laugh out loud.
Yeah, I wish so too.
He said sadly, which caused the king to pause.
Oh, sorry, son. I didn't mean to. Listen, I promise. Soon you'll be able to leave with us on your first action. I promise. We just don't want you to get hurt or something.
Amma said that I'm stronger than most of her troops.
Mimu said quietly.
Oh, of course you are.
Kadan looked at his soldiers for some kind of help with this really awkward matter, but they didn't know what to do. They were just soldiers.
The best out of all of us in the organized train battle, but out there, you see, a lot of margin do not play fair. We will start off something a little bit more simpler, smaller.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna watch Desert from the Wars or something.
He sighed.
Don't be so gloomy, Mimu. Come on. There'll be a feast. And I know that my boy loves himself a good feast.
Kadan gave him a little fist bump in the arm, which, considering the size of his palm to Mimu's, that was saying something. It made Mimu smile a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss that for the world.
He nodded. He meant it, and went on to climb to the very top of the castle to his favorite spot. From there, he got a very good view of the desert. The day was nearing its end, and the sunsets were rather spectacular. Watching two suns of the third world setting, that was really something that Mimu always enjoyed, greatly so. His thoughts, though, were mixed. He had that weird feeling of his father hiding something from him. Kadan wasn't the best of liars either, and lately, he started coming up with some very weak excuses for all kinds of things. Why was his adopted parent so adamant on keeping him here? This was upsetting, he had to admit. Although Mimu hoped that it had come from a place of love and protection, rather than from something more nefarious. Suddenly, he saw something. A couple of movements. From his perspective, he witnessed a couple of margin ruffians circling around a hooded figure. They seemed to have hostile intentions. They weren't that far away from the castle either, as it was happening on a nearby canyon. But the situation was starting to look bad, as they appeared to be armed. With that, Mimu could call for help, but everyone else was preparing for the feast. They had no clue what was happening. Perhaps this was the way he could prove himself to his dad. Yes, he'd seen it! With a few fast jumps down, he was on the rocks, closing in on the bandits.
All right, give us the money, lady,
a bandit said flatly.
Yeah, or we'll totally stab you,
said the other one, resembling a huge bug.
Oh no,
the hooded person said with a feminine voice.
What will I do? Is there no one around to save poor old me? Hey, leave that lady alone!
Mimu charged toward them, holding a Kadan Force spear.
What's that supposed to be? Some monkey margin?
The third one, looking like a massive wolf, lied dryly.
Let's get him, boys!
He howled, and the three went on for a full attack on the boy, who skillfully dodged the attacks, using the spear to elevate his jumps. First, he whacked the bird guy across the head, then tickled the wolf's nose with his tail. Finally, he landed on the bug's back and kicked him onto the ground. They weren't going to go down that easy, though, as the insectoid margin decided to go for a stab, which Mimu only barely dodged, then for the wolf to bear hug him from behind. He quickly regretted that as the monkey boy sank his teeth into his arm, causing him to whimper like a scared little mutt. Once let down, he punched him in between the eyes but got captured by the bird, who then took him up and started to fly away from the scene. Mimu dropped his spear, and after a moment of some scuffles, was on the bandit's back and started steering him toward the rocky wall.
Stop it! You stupid kid! You crazy!
The bird couldn't finish his sentence as Mimu jumped down moments before the collision. He then dived toward the spear, but the bug guy put his leg on it in order to pin it to the ground.
You're in trouble, stinky monkey,
the insect said. In this case, Mimu decided to launch himself from his current recumbency with a somersault and launched a powerful double fist attack right into the bug's chest. During all this time, the boy was so absorbed with the fight that he hadn't noticed that the hooded woman was just leaning on a rock wall with only a slight smile visible, clearly not in distress. She was clearly pleased with what was going on. When the bug managed to backtrack, Mimu picked up a spear and he spun it like a propeller, hitting both the wolf and the bug at the same time, who were trying to close in on him. After that, he jumped in between them, and when they tried to catch him, dodged at the very last second, causing them to collide and take each other out right there and then. The three bandits were left laying on the ground, with Mimu coming out of this encounter with only a scratch. The monkey boy was breathing rather loudly though, but he put his trusty spear on his back and he turned his head toward the hooded figure.
You okay, ma'am? Please tell me you're okay. I really hope they didn't hurt you.
He stepped toward her and bowed. His father and sister taught him to be a very respectable person toward his elders, and that is exactly what he did.
Not at all. You're a very brave boy, Mimu.
She smiled at him from under a hood.
Oh, that was nothing. Wait, how do you know my name?
The monkey boy was rather surprised. Not many people knew that he was called Mimu, certainly not this person. The smile on the woman's face widened.
Oh, you're quite famous, you know. People hear the rumors, you know, of the incredible monkey boy living within the castle. Really? What rumors?
He was getting a little bit nervy now. The woman removed her hood, showing an impressive crown of hair, which somehow fitted underneath the disguise, just don't ask, and a pale pink hue. Mimu blinked a couple of times. This lady, she was a...
Are you a Glint? But my dad told me all of you had left. How observant. A couple of us are still left. Indeed, I am a Glint. You are right. In fact, I'm somewhat of your fairy godmother. Godmother? My dad never said I had a god...
She interrupted him.
He waited for you to be old enough. If you want to learn something about yourself that you didn't know, I can take you somewhere where you'll find out. It's not that far from here. I have transportation.
Mimu looked toward the castle. At this point, everyone was clearly enjoying and preparing the feast, laughing their heads off, not really looking for him. They wouldn't really miss him if he was just gone for a short while, would they?
But, okay, I need to be back though, before they start getting worried. It won't take long, I promise. Pinky promise.
She extended her pinky finger toward him.
By the way, my name is Anisu, but you can call me Auntie.
His father told him never to talk to strangers, but since this lady had introduced herself, he accepted the gesture. She technically wasn't a stranger, and he extended his own.
Pleasure to meet you, Auntie.
He smiled widely. Part of his brain, though, really felt that he should have remembered this name from somewhere, but at this point, quite frankly, this was overshadowed by a prospect of learning and seeing new stuff. Other than that, there was something strangely familiar about that glint. Really familiar. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.